Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we will be going over the severe weather outbreak for tomorrow and possibly Tuesday as well. And we will be going over the flooding risk and the thermodynamics going into the system. But before we get to that, I do want to start off with today's severe weather risk. It is a slight risk with a 2% chance for tornadoes. And that does include St. Louis, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, Springfield, Illinois, Columbia, Missouri, and Decatur, Illinois. And this is going to also be a 5% wind risk. That does include Kansas City, Missouri, Indianapolis, Indiana, St. Louis, Missouri, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky. And then the hail risk, we will have a 15% risk for hail. That will also include Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, and Decatur, Illinois. And so just 2% tornado risk, that's a lower risk, but still can't rule out a tornado or two. Alright, now for day 2, which this will be happening on April 1st, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather. That's a 3 out of 5 with a 10% significant tornado risk. So that is significant. As I said, the 10% area, that yellow area, that's a 10% probability within 25 miles of any given location. And then that black outlined area is a 10% significant risk for tornadoes. And this also includes a 30% wind risk, which will include Tulsa, St. Louis, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, Evansville, Indiana, and Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. There's also a 30% significant risk for hail, which is, that is going to be very large hail, as I said, and that's a significant risk. So a 10% chance for significant hail, that's baseball size plus hail. And then that's that 30% risk, and that includes Tulsa, Springfield, Missouri, Norman, Oklahoma, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and all those places I just named are also in significant risk. Also, with the tornado risk, it is a fairly small area for the significant tornado threat, but just because it is outlined in that area, there could be significant tornadoes anywhere in this tornado outlined area, but it is more likely just to be in the outlined area. Now for day 3, so this will be April 2nd, there's also an enhanced risk of severe weather, which is also a 3 out of 5. And this does include Cincinnati, Louisville, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, Lexington, Kentucky, and Huntington, West Virginia. And as of now, this is just a 30% risk of severe weather. So we will be able to see what the threats are tomorrow, whether that's a strong tornado risk or hail risk or wind risk, but as of now, just a 30% risk of severe weather, which I do think will be at least a 5% tornado risk, and I do think this will also be a 30% wind risk and a 30% hail risk as well. Now, for day 4, they have not put out an outlook, but this is predictability too low. So that is a step above potential too low. And in the discussion, they do talk about how they will probably be adding a risk of severe weather, which I assume would be a marginal risk or a slight risk. But as of now, they are not sure. Alright, some of the driving factors with the severe weather on day 2, which is that enhanced risk with the significant tornado threat. I'm gonna just go through the models here real quick, and we do have the GFS is showing a line of storms through Texas, Oklahoma, and also parts of Missouri possibly. And then we will have to watch Ohio and Indiana and Illinois area, all that is also going to be a significant area of, I believe, sorry about that, of hail. That will be significant hail, I believe. And if we keep going through this, there is also sorry about that. There's also a threat of severe weather, as I said, day 3, which is April 2nd, and this is showing a line of storms from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, also possibly all the way up to Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and possibly even Pennsylvania. And after that, we will probably have some backside snow with that in the Appalachian Mountains, and possibly some lake effect snow up in New York. Switch to the Euro here. This is also showing that line of storms through Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and possibly Missouri, with that other area of storms in Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois, which, as I said, I do think will have the threat for very large hail. And if we move this to April 2nd, which is our day 3 risk, it is also showing that line of storms through Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and possibly Georgia and the Carolinas as well. The Canadian model is also showing that line of storms through Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri as well. We'll skip through this real fast, with possibly some backside snow in the Appalachian Mountains. Icon model is also showing that line of storms through Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and also is showing that area of storms in Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, which, as I said, I do think will have the potential for large hail and damaging winds. Alright, here are dew points for the day 2 risk. We will be seeing the dew points get up into the mid to upper 60s in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana, but I do think it will still be in the lower 60s to almost 65 dew points, all the way up into Missouri and Arkansas as well. And then we'll skip over to the day 2 risk, also showing those dew points from the mid to upper 60s. And I do think there will be a small chance for some tornadoes in Georgia and the Carolinas, and possibly some parts of the Panhandle of Florida. Alright, and now we are at the European model for the mid-level jet. This is what helps with tornadoes, and as we can see, we have the mid-level jet up to mid-60s, and that is not, so that is highway speed, and so, I mean, anywhere from 50 to 70 knots will be possible for that day 2 area. Day 2, sorry. And then there will also be a jet for that day 3 area, 70 to possibly even 80 knots in certain areas, which will also, I do believe, that will help with some possible tornadoes up in the mountains. Alright, and the last thing I did want to mention is this flooding threat for the day 2. There's a slight risk of flooding. That does include St. Louis, Missouri, and also includes Louisville, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Jefferson City, Missouri. Sorry about that. And that is a slight risk, so that is at least a 15% risk for flash flooding. And then the day 3 risk, there's also a marginal threat for flash flooding, so that's at least a 5% risk for flooding. And that goes from the Appalachian Mountains, that's Knoxville, Tennessee, Charleston, West Virginia, and that does go all the way up to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I do think there will be a risk for flooding, but I don't think it will be as widespread on this day. But day 2, I think, is the main day to watch. Pull this up here on the fly real quick. Also, there's a fire risk today for Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, and parts of Kansas. That is a critical. So that is a 2 out of 3 on the fire weather outlook. So there will be a threat for some fires to get going. And then the day 2 fire risk, also a critical risk for parts of Texas and just a little sliver of New Mexico. And that's, as I said, 2 out of 3 risk. Alright, well, that is all I have for y'all today. And check back in for updates, but just make sure you're watching the weather and stay safe. Alright, y'all have a good one.